Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. We are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today we dive into the Abby and Libby case out of Delphi. We are now just 5 days out from the trial. We will continue to go over the information that relates to this case, trying to make sense of it all. Let's welcome in Brett Decker, She Warrior, Zoe Kitty, Pitbull Mom, happy Saturday, Miss Dog Lover, CJK, Jill Moser, Patty, Big Fish, Hiawatha, Vertigo Brain, good to see you. So we'll just play this one by ear. Daisy, congrats. Says, hey, big news I want to share. I just took my last chemo pill. Woohoo. Congratulations. That's great news. Maybe we'll start here. We did talk about Doug Rice a little bit during our last live stream. God rest his soul. But I think this is important. Okay, now remember, this is probably about, 2.5 years before Richard Allen was arrested. Remember, we talked a little bit about Doug's lineup. So he was doing his own investigation and he was making some headway. He helped Hannah Shakespeare get close to some of the young witnesses that were on the trail that we've learned about in more detail in the probable cause affidavit. But let's look at what he says here. He says, this is exactly what the young witness I spoke with on several occasions described seeing. So this is her sketch. Probably the best witness that they're going to have. Now pay close attention to this next part here. Doug says, short-billed hat with a hoodie pulled up and a scarf below his nose. And we also have a sketch, which is identical to that. I think probably done by one of the other young girls. Now, she says 40s to 50s. Now, we know because of hindsight that that is completely accurate. He was pretty much right in the middle of 40 and 50. I think he was, 45 at the time? And around her height. 5'6", 5'7". So pretty short. Who does that remind you guys of? Okay, you put a pair of boots on Richard Allen, put a hat and a hoodie on him. He's right at about 5'6", 5'7". So pretty short. This is when everybody thought he was a taller person. A lot of talk about Ron Logan. No discussion of a short Richard Allen. But yet, here's what this witness is telling Doug Rice. 5'6", 5'7", so pretty short. And she was the one whose description was behind that first sketch. But as you can see, law enforcement took their own liberties with it. And Jerry Holman came out later and talked about that at CrimeCon. He said, we got it wrong. We got it wrong with the older sketch. That's why they put out bulletins saying, hey, this guy's no longer a suspect, because part of the description were people that were searching that day, and it was not the suspect. They didn't figure that out until later on in their investigation. That's one of the main reasons that they went with the Young sketch. Hey, Miss Dog Lover. Yep, for the Delphi case, a very big week. They have jury selection, I think the 14th begins the 14th. It might even go all the way through the 17th. Thank you, Pitbull Mom. You got it, Daisy. Congrats. I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, keep up the good fight. How you doing, Hiawatha? Roxy, hello. Purple. What's up, Farmer? Welcome in. Good to see you. Zoe, how you doing? There she is. Good to see you, D. Okay. He also goes on to say, I guarantee you she gave what I posted to law enforcement within the first few days. And when they released it 5 months later, law enforcement had changed it. And all of the changes were just guesses and obviously don't seem to have ID'd the killer. So they screwed up. But the actual witness is giving you something that looks like Richard Allen. This looks just like Richard Allen, in my opinion, right? Silas, what's up? Thanks, Daisy. Couldn't do it without you guys. Okay, we also know about Doug's lineup. We talked about that momentarily. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think that's Charles Eldridge. It's Chadwell, Garrett Kurtz, Daniel Nations, Thomas Jerome Bruce, and Paul Etter. But she selected this guy here, who looks like he could be brothers with Richard Allen. So I found that interesting. Doug did, he did his investigation. He uncovered a lot of information. Hats off to him. Christine, welcome. What's up, CJK? Yeah, he does look younger in that balaclava. And if you see the thumbnail I put together, that's just pretty much all the sketches put into one. We got Richard Allen. Yeah, definitely creeps. Beyond creeps. Monsters. Hey, Rain Dancer. Yeah, prayers go out to you as well, Miss Dog Lover, in your fight. Hey, Jerry. No, not late. Fashionably late. Stumbling in like some hobos, as usual. Okay, so I have a lineup here for you guys. But before that, let me create a poll. That way you guys can vote on this lineup. So don't vote yet. Wait till I put it up on the screen. Okay, now you can vote. Take a long look. It's number 1, Elvis Fields. Number 2, Ron Logan. Number 3, Brad Holder. Number 4, Richard Allen. What's up, TJ? How you doing? Stumbling in like a hobo. Welcome in. Hey, Heather, how you doing? The Silverleaf, what's up? Think how scary it could have been for these witnesses. They saw the guy and no one could find him for like 5 years. As a parent of these witnesses, I would have been losing my mind with fear. What's going on, Heather? Audra, hello. All right, guys, go ahead and vote. Let me know what you think. Yeah, Heather. And the thing about the 3 young witnesses is they were right there next to him. You know, they got the best look at him. They know how tall he is. And we now know through Doug Rice that they said he was about 5'6". And it looks like the bridge guy's wearing a pair of boots and something on his head. Richard Allen is said to be about 5'4". Pair of boots, a hat. There you have it, 5'6". And that's information that was released before anybody even knew about Richard Allen. Okay, so I'll give you guys about another minute or two. So make sure you vote if you want to. I'm going to close it down. There's number 1, Elvis Fields. Number 2, Ron Logan. Number 3, Brad Holder. And number 4, Richard Allen. Thank you, Pitbull. Yeah, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Like the video. Go share it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Send a link to your grandma. All right, so we're going to close down this poll. Oh, looks like you guys are still voting. I'll give you a few more. Give you 30 seconds. Right now we have 3% say Ron Logan, 8% say Brad Holder, 10% say Elvis Fields, and 80% of you say that looks like Richard Allen. And be honest. All right. There you have it. The jury is in. 82% say, well, the comparison of Richard Allen looks the most like the bridge guy. Here's a photograph. One of the sketches, he's wearing a beanie very similar to this, and it has a small bill on it. It almost seems to match up with what we're seeing here. Thank you, Audra. Miss Doglover says, exactly, I'm 5'5" and a half with no shoes on. With sneakers on, I'm taller than most women. Brad got here in time for the poll. Just in time. The verdict is in. Badass, good afternoon. Sharon Parker, good to see you. Yeah, this one's pretty close. Notice the facial feature right here. Very similar to what you're seeing on the left. The lips seem to match up perfectly. Hiawatha says, to be fair, the BG had something over his mouth, so you really can't see that part. Not in the video. You can see it's right here underneath his chin. When the girls witnessed him, yeah, he had it under his nose. So they didn't get a good look at his mouth area. But in the video, you can clearly see that he's not covered. And you can see the covering just underneath his chin there. Yeah, depending on the lighting and the way if he's looking up, it'll kind of pull his kind of tighten his double chin. Definitely gives him a younger appearance. What's up, Steffa? Hey, Kara. Don't you guys think the witness who saw him muddy and bloody would have gotten a really good look at him also? Well, she was driving by, and she was a big part of the older sketch. And she was the person who said he didn't have blue eyes, but there was, something like that. So I was thinking maybe like a greenish like gray. And if you go through the photographs of Richard Allen, he kind of fluctuates depending on the lighting. And I know a lot of you that happens to you probably as well. TJ, he doesn't want to jinx it. Says, I don't want to say the D word out loud, but the defense asking for all these inmates to get shipped around last minute has me worried. I'm sure they have their reasons. But if they believe that Kegan Klein had anything to, had any connection to Richard Allen, they're not going to call him. Unless Richard Allen is trying to confess and he's trying to tell tell his side of the story. Like, I didn't know they were going to kill the girls. We went down there, for whatever reason, for sexual assault. Maybe he's even planning on telling a story that he got into a fight with them. That's how the unspent shell casing ended up where it did. They took his gun from him, and when they gave it back to him, they emptied the chamber. Yeah, it's just a theory. Or the defense is completely oblivious to the fact that Kegan Klein has stated that he knows Richard Allen. And they may not know that they're stepping in some shit. Not quite sure about Chadwell, but the Ricky character, it looks like he was locked up with Kegan Klein. And he appears to be a known racist, so maybe they're trying to use him to back up the Odinism stuff, or they talked a lot about this being a racially motivated crime. One of the girl's mothers was a quote unquote race traitor. Hey, Road Dog, I've always thought he was wearing that beanie because sometimes if you don't pull it tight, it will have a dent look to it at the top. Let's take a look at the video. This is my attempt at stabilizing the frames. Does appear to help a little bit. I don't know if he had a beard or stubble. He could have. Yeah, he has very weird nostrils. His nose is very specific to him. Wondered if BG left any of his own clothes at the scene. That would be great evidence. I've wondered that. Yep, I agree with you. He put on weight after the murders. The photographs in 2018, he looks like he has more muscle tone, little bit of weight to him. In the photographs on Kathy's Facebook in 2016, he's very skinny. So makes you wonder if he was just on a beer diet or if he was self-medicating, quote unquote. Yeah, they even tried to engage with him, Heather. They said hello, and he kind of gave him a dirty look. So we have a guy whose face is covered, and witnesses reporting that he's moving with purpose. Makes you wonder, was this a premeditated crime? What was he up to? Did he just want to get to the bridge? I always wondered if maybe the south end or underneath the south end of the bridge, maybe that was a place that he liked to go. I do suspect that maybe drugs were involved. If you wanted to be alone, you're about to start tweaking out on meth. Cross the Monon and go underneath the south end. Lots of privacy. Yeah, and I believe they're laying everything out on the 18th. I believe so, Steffa, but for some reason the defense team wants to keep some of it confidential, and I haven't seen it released out to the public just yet. But they have completed that part, from my understanding. They make you look like a cholo. Miss Doglover, question: if it's not televised, will we just have to rely on information from reporters in the courtroom, and how will the information be publicized? Well, I believe they are going to have cameras in the courtroom, and they're going to release portions that they approve to the media, but we'll have members of the media in the courtroom, and they'll most likely be tweeting out, taking notes, and things like that. Thank you, Roxy. Yeah, that's fine, Roxy. Whatever's clever. Badass says his neighbors said he'd sit on it in his driveway in a chair and drink a case of beer. Yeah, his neighbor John was in the Discovery Index. John is the guy that was interviewed by Fox 59. He's the one that was kind of giving a play-by-play and boots on the ground reporting of the search on the 13th. He's the one that he kind of gave us detailed information about brown bags that appear. They reminded him of Macy's bags, and Macy's bags are basically brown paper bags with red writing, and that's very similar to what you see with the evidence paper bags. Also, the digging of the fire pit, and he lives right across the street. Yeah, so they're going to be provided photographs. They're going to be everything's going to be approved by the courts. And remember, that could all change at any point. On the 18th, or on the 17th, we could get a new order allowing cameras and allowing them to broadcast it. It could change at any moment. Not likely at this point, but they could. What's going on, Metal Mama? Good to see you. How you doing, Beth? Trooper Bryant? You're welcome, Miss Dog Lover. I don't know. That's a lot of money. They're well on their way to 4 million. Like, geez. Ziggy, good to see you. Babs, how are you? Lawyer Lee will be there and take notes. Yeah, we'll gather all the information while they're in trial, and we'll do our best to report on it. We'll find out who made it in, and we'll monitor their Twitter feeds, and we'll get you guys a play-by-play. Hey, welcome back, Necessary Evil. Good to see you. That was a story that did go out. I haven't been able to confirm that. That might have been one of those rumors that spread when people started getting wind of the search. And I'm sure they saw Fox speaking with the neighbor. I don't know why people do that, but they like to spread rumors like that. It just kind of happens. They just kind of evolve. Like, oh, I saw, they're searching Richard Allen's home. Oh, well, I saw him talking to the neighbor, and then it starts to get legs and takes off running. Hey, Grunge Truck. Support with Steffa. My birthday is the 17th, so I'm hoping Goal will give me an ultimate gift. She might. I still have faith. The box cutter. Yeah, you got it. Welcome back. What's going on, Boston? I predict Beaterby will win the fight between Bivol. I got Bivol winning by decision. Definitely going to be watching that. Puts on too much pressure. But it's going to be a good fight. Yeah, pray for justice, Rain Dancer. You know, be prepared for the worst also, you know. Be ready for that. Be ready for some kind of a dismissal, acquittal, new information. You know, one of the main things that has me convinced Richard Allen's guilt is his lack of an alibi. We've been covering true crime for 4 years now almost. You know, steady. And in most cases, one thing I see is the defense team, they put out the alibi. That's the main thing that they push out there. Like, my client couldn't have done this because they were somewhere else. We haven't heard any mention of that. If he left at 1:30, okay, that's fine. You know, a lot of people were there. There were a few other guys that were there that could have done this, right? In that pocket of time. But they all have alibis. Where was Richard Allen? Nothing. We get crickets when we ask that question. Silverleaf, after spending like what, 70 grand for that podium, I would think video would happen and deleted by the day or more. Best of both worlds, or so I'm hopeful. Yeah, I don't think they could do that. I still have hope. I still have faith that around the 17th or the 16th or the 17th, we'll find out if they're going to allow some kind of a live feed. Heather, question: when will the 5 selected reporters be told they have been selected? I think they've already been selected, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can answer that question in the comments if you know. Oh yeah, that was started by the murder sheet. Badass says, I did like the rumor they were searching Kegan's grandparents' fire pit when it was actually Alan's fire pit. So many Alan is innocent people were upset. Well, according to the murder sheet, they did. They searched both. Yeah, this was more towards the beginning of the Wabash River search, way before they searched Richard Allen's home on October 13th. So sometime in September, the murder sheet had spoken with local media and said that they in fact dug up Kegan Klein's grandparents' fire pit and served a search warrant. I have the article. See if I can find it. This might be it. Let me read this. This is like a clipping here. About the same time the original hearing was scheduled, we saw some pretty intense searches going on. A search of the Wabash River and the search of the fire pit at the home of Kegan Klein's grandparents, said Kevin Greenlee, an attorney and the host of the podcast The Murder Sheet, which has delved into the Delphi murders. Perhaps those searches were not successful as they might like. At this point, our sources, and this is a quote from Anya Kane, at this point, our sources have not indicated that any actionable evidence was yielded from those different aspects of the investigation. So, the source of the information of Kegan Klein's grandparents' fire pit being searched and dug up was the murder sheet. And that was right at the beginning of the Wabash River search. It's horrible to think about, but I don't think it was a box cutter. I don't know. Like, I haven't had a chance to look at the crime scene photos or look at what type of wounds were inflicted. To my understanding, it was some type of serrated blade. And we'll do our own little testing to see if it's possible. We pretty much narrowed down what kind of box cutters are used at CVS. We're assuming that's what Richard Allen was using or was referring to when he said box cutter, something that would be readily available to him, possibly already in his coat or in his jeans or in his vehicle, something that he can just grab or that was already there. Grunge Chuck says Bivol because he didn't let Canelo bully him. Yeah, he beat the shit out of Canelo. Those combinations. He would throw like 4 or 5 punch combinations and then back up, then come back in, boom, 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 boom. Canelo would hit him in the arm, trying to disable his jab. It didn't work with him. So Bivol's a tough guy. Tougher than most, that's for sure. CJK says, last night someone was praying for Doug Carter and Jerry Holman to tell the truth. Crazy Delulu chick. Yeah. Who are they praying to, right? He's used to fighting strong punchers. Yep. But Beaterbev he's a big guy. He'd be a tough fight for Canelo. Heather says, I do too. Have faith that there may be a plea and no trial. Yeah, I still have faith. I told you guys my prediction was around the 23rd. Once they get a good look at the jury, get a feel for the jury, and hear those opening statements. Because the prosecution's going to lay it all out. You know, everything that we've heard and everything that we haven't heard, right there on the 18th. You know, it's going to hit Twitter like a storm. All of this, all this hidden information, everything that we thought we knew, is all going to be presented on that day. It's going to set the internet on fire. So we'll see. But, you know, that could go both ways. It's possible. What's up, James? Says a little off topic, but do you have any details or knowledge on the dude that killed himself after and connected to the crime scene photos that were stolen? Why did he off himself? I don't think it had anything to do with the Delphi murders. I didn't see any connection whatsoever. But I think I might have some information on that. Let me see. Oh, yeah. I think his name was Nate Miller. Passed away December 14th, 2020. You know, some people, they just have stuff going on, and it has nothing to do with the Delphi case or anything like that. But yeah, I was very curious about that. I'm surprised the Delulus haven't tried to tie that in. But yeah, it does make you wonder, and I feel for Nate's family, but I'm sure that it's not related. You know, some people are just going through hard times. They feel like the world is on their shoulders. You know, and they just don't see a way out of it. It's pain. They're going through pain that they can't escape from. So my heart goes out to his family. Yeah, looks like the beginning of. So you have to remember, badass. We know that Kegan Klein. I don't know if it was a false confession. From what we've gathered so far, it appears to be a false confession. And the fact that the defense team wants to talk with Kegan Klein and somebody that was locked up with him tells me that he's going to come out and say that it was a false confession. But he said that it is very strange. Kegan Klein is acting like he knows Richard Allen. He was taken into custody the day that the Wabash River search started. We later learned that it was because he actually confessed to taking part in the crime, basically driving his dad around and being there when his dad was leaving the crime scene. So if he's accusing his father and telling law enforcement, hey, my dad had something to do with this, and that they were at their grandparents' house that day, remember that's what he said in the transcript, they probably believed that. And there was also reports of a PT Cruiser. It's my understanding that the grandparents had a PT Cruiser, a purple one at that. That's what was reported at the crime scene. So I don't know if we have two separate vehicles. Maybe it wasn't a red Jeep. It was a purple PT Cruiser. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with, all this stuff. But the biggest variable in all this is, the human variable. People are motivated to lie, to withhold information, to tell half truths. So I don't know what is going on with that. But they tied Kegan Klein's phone to his cousin's house, which is right up the street from his grandparents. So regardless of what his phone was doing, that doesn't mean that it was in Kegan Klein's hands, right? And it's already strange for somebody to come out and make a false confession, especially after you've already been convicted of and sentenced to your crimes, right? You're already doing 40 years. Nobody's promising you anything. But I just doubt that the defense would ever call Kegan Klein if they even thought he might get up on that stand and say, well, yeah, I know Richard Allen. I gave him access to the Anthony Shots account, I've been trading CSAM with Rick Allen, since 2015. He's friends with my dad. So it's very curious. And then you have, what is it, the phonetics? We can look at that. Kegan Klein's transcript. Let's see. But you got to understand, we need answers for this, right? Because it's all you or it's you and someone else. And he's like, right. So investigators are asking him about the Anthony Shots account. He says, I don't know who it is, but I'm telling you, I did not. I didn't have any children. So he got really upset when they told him there was a video of a 3-year-old and a grown man on his phone. But we know very well that could have been him. What else? And why would I video chat with somebody if you know what I mean? I'm obviously not that person. Investigators say what I'm trying to wrap my head around. I mean, you made the Emily Ann account, right? He says, yes. Okay. And you talk to girls with it, right? So some of these have to be you, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. Definitely talk to girls on there. Yeah. I'm not denying that at all. So he's not denying it. He's just saying there's certain parts of what he's being told weren't him. He says, I mean, you keep talking about these little kids and stuff. I don't want to hear that stuff. So Kegan Klein's trying to make it as if he draws the line, with that kind of stuff. There was reports of bestiality. He said that's not me. But of course he's going to deny that. And it most likely was all him. I just can't figure out why he would try to pin it all on his father. Like his last hope, while spending his life, and pretty much he'll probably spend his entire life in prison. Why would he throw the one guy that's going to help him under the bus? I just can't wrap my head around that. And then there was talk of the pedal ring. Let's continue on here. Bud, from your Dropbox account off your phone, we have started one of the largest child pornography investigations ever undertaken in the state of Indiana. From your Dropbox. They say we start looking at those people and it just freaking spirals out of control to this major child porn ring. Kagan says, okay, well, then why did they? Why would it take 3 years for them to come and get me? What do you mean? Their answer was, I told you how big this investigation is. A lot of CSAM. And then you guys remember the map that I made. So these are geolocations that were pulled from digital forensics. So a phone that he had in 2015, he was exchanging CSAM with people who knew who he was. They knew him personally. They referred to him as Kegan Klein. But those locations were Indianapolis, Kokomo, Galveston, Bunker Hill, Peru, Royal Center, and Monterey. And that was his Apple iPhone 3G back in 2015. So I don't know if that has anything to do with Richard Allen. And then also the stuff where he's talking about meeting Libby that day. Says here, never mind where the girl contacted Anthony Schatz and said, did you hear what happened to Liberty? And Anthony Schatz responded, OMG, what happened? And then she goes and tells him what happened. And then Anthony Schatz says, well, I was supposed to meet that girl, but she never showed up. Meaning he showed up, but she didn't. Let's see what else. So Anthony Schatz, so when they were asking you, did you send her images? You said no, because you didn't, but Anthony Schatz did. No, because I don't remember sending them anything. And it was also very strange. The only phone that had anything deleted from it was his personal phone, and it had everything deleted from February 10th to February 16th. So there's a lot of strange stuff going on. And that was the phone that he did not turn in. Yeah, he got a charge for that. The phone, your phone that you had, all your search history was deleted from 210 to 215. There's nothing in between. So now what's interesting about that is all those other phones have complete histories. Nothing's gone. So during the time frame where this grooming would have been built up to meeting it's gone. It's wiped away from your phone. So it's all very strange. And then we have I think something that was put out by Kelsey where she said she was sitting at the police station and she had Libby's login passwords to all her social media and she actually contacted Anthony Shots. But she didn't think anything of it, right? Yeah, they took his Arizona blue jeans and some Levi's. Those are the color of Arizona jeans. Welcome in, Anna. Lauren Matthias, and Harvard-trained attorney lawyer Lee both plan to attend the trial, make reports on the breaks. Idaho-based Lauren did this for the Daybell trial. Yeah, we'll try to keep track of all of that, guys. And we'll do our best to report everything that's coming out during the trial. Anna says it was reported during the initial investigation that divers shoulder to shoulder in Deer Creek found lots of evidence. We have no idea what they found. That knowledge should be interesting. Yeah, and I think we're going to learn about a lot of this on day one. They're going to lay it all out there. There might even be some DNA that's not, directly connected to Richard Allen, but the probability that it belongs to him may be high. He can't be excluded. Something like that wouldn't be mentioned in his interrogation because it's not concrete. Because you definitely want to try to generate a confession. So you're going to give him all the hard stuff first, like the bullet, stuff like that, to make it seem like the case is stacked up against him. Because you don't want to look like you have no remorse, right? That's your opportunity to be proactive for your trial. Like you want to show remorse and be apologetic about what you did. That way, when you do go to trial, if you go to trial, they may have a little bit of remorse. Or leniency, sorry. Show some leniency towards you. Grunge Chuck, the Fundora guy is like a rock'em sock'em robot. Yeah, he's big too. He's big and lengthy. Yeah, some similarities there, badass. I could see that. Hopefully, Richard Allen sits down and tells everyone why. What's up, Mustang? Hey, kitty cat. Yeah, what a strange one. They'll do something like that on Richard Allen for sure. Yeah, a lot of similarities there, Grunge. Yeah, that was Nate Miller. Hey, a lot of weird stuff going on. They spend more time talking about each other than they do talking about what happened to Abby and Libby and the evidence against Richard Allen. They rather talk about who's been talking about me on the Discord. Yeah, he definitely needs proof, but I mean, it's just strange. While he was confessing to all of this, while they're searching, his grandparents, doing a search warrant on his grandparents, shortly after they're arresting the Delphi suspect, Richard Allen. You know, just certain things like that are hard to get over. Badass says, I do think he traded CSAM with Allen. I think it's possible. I just haven't seen any proof or anything convincing about it. Then what do you guys make of the lost tip? So it was here. I don't think it's called Wallman's anymore, but at the time it was called Wallman's. This is where Richard Allen met with Dan Doolin. So I don't know if he was there with his family, trying to make him look harmless. Called the tip line and met, I believe, on the midday on the 15th. So on the 14th and the early morning of the 15th, all the reporting on the Delphi murders was about the identification, information about the autopsy. Everybody was waiting for all of that. But they were also saying, hey, police want you to, if you were out on the trails, law enforcement wants to hear from you. So imagine Richard Allen watching the news with his wife and his daughter and his new son-in-law, soon to be at the time. And they all know he was at the trails that day. He can't just sit there and be like, maybe they won't say anything. They're going to say, well, you were there, give him a call. Or he's going to feel pressure to call. So he's probably doing what he does best, hiding in plain sight, hiding who he truly is, hiding that monster. So at the time, it was called Wallman's. Pretty big. There's a lot of groceries in there. They have a beer section. They have a meat section. Nice little store. We got these propane tanks here. Thanks, farmer. Yeah, KK draws the line at toddlers. It's hard for me to wrap my head around that kind of stuff. I think we heard about that in another recent case out of Delphi, right? Where the guy was using the dark web. He had bestiality too. Well, Fortson wasn't a cop. I think they were asking about the police officer. But yeah, it's another good example of somebody who was probably going through some hard times and had nothing to, maybe had a little bit to do with the crime scene photos, but we don't know. Everybody wants to fit everything into their own narrative. But sometimes we just don't know what people are going through. And all it takes, is a straw, one more straw to break the camel's back. Or there could be a lot more there, But I don't think we'll ever know. Yeah, something's up with that badass. Something is going on. How could this tiny little man control two girls? Yeah, we've covered cases where teenage girls. We covered a case recently where she's tiny. All she had was a knife. She killed her mother and was able to control her stepfather, who was a big, muscular, athletic guy. And she almost killed him too. She completely disabled him. And we're talking about this little girl. And it doesn't take much. If you have a blade, any kind of a blade in your hand, I mean, you just became a deadly weapon. Just by, it doesn't take much pressure. As soon as you bring that blade in contact with that flesh, it's going to open right up. And that's all it takes is one gash in the arm, and you might only have minutes. You can't continue fighting. You got to get out of there. You got to go get medical help. What's up, Brightfield? Mustangs. I'm taking a break from YouTube. James doesn't believe Richard Allen will ever say why. I think he admitted that to Dr. Walla. But I feel like the defense plans to discredit her. First step will be the opening statements, Rain Dancer. So they're going to do the jury selection. And then followed after that, the prosecution is going to go, they're going to lay out their entire case. And then the defense will lay out their entire case. Then they'll call witnesses. But one thing that the Willmans kind of reminds me of, let me see if I have it. Anna Williams came out and talked about this time she was at the grocery store. And this would be the closest store to her. That there was an interaction with some creepy guy. So maybe Abby was the target. We know that Anthony Nebergall is really good friends with Richard Allen. And that's him there, Tony. But he's also friends with Anna and Anna's father. So Richard Allen just tagging along, maybe even has a weird obsession. Tony Nebergall right there. But them meeting there at that grocery store reminded me of this. Let's watch this as a clip of an interview.
Yeah, we did. We'd had a minimal incident of somebody at a local store. I noticed him when I walked in, but when people are standing at the checkout and somebody comes in the door, you tend to look up because you're going to run into somebody in town 9 times out of 10. You're not going to slip past a teacher, a coworker.
So I want you guys to pay close attention to the word she chooses to use here.
Friend, somebody the kids know, and you're going to wave and say hello. This particular person did not. I remember seeing them as they were checking out, but they were sitting in their car while we walked out. I was unaware how close we were parked to them. And I think he said something in reference to, you look like you know who I am, or you know who I am. And I said, well, I apologize if I don't remember. I've worked in a lot of different places. I'm not great with names. But I remember how he looked down at her in the car and then looked back up at me, and we just immediately left. And she's like, "Mom, that man made me feel creepy." I was like,
That man made me feel creepy. And one thing I've learned through watching these investigators work, they always talk about the little things. It's the little things that matter. To me, this would be a good example of the little one of those little things, right? This instance. So I wonder if Anna could tell us if that was it Richard Allen? I don't know. But when I think of Richard Allen meeting with Dan Doolin at the grocery store, it made me think of that story that Anna told. And they have a mutual friend, this Tony Nebergall character, you know. And just like everybody else, Tony, this Nebergall guy, he's not going to know that Richard Allen's potentially a killer. So if he's tagging along, the girls were at Riley Park the day before practicing softball. I don't know. Was Richard Allen there? Did he overhear the girls saying they were going to go to the trails? Does he have some kind of weird obsession with Abby? Why is he apologizing for what he did to Abby and not Libby? Was Libby just in the way? Was that story what made him the creepy guy? Was that the birth of the creepy guy? That day at the grocery store? It's that creepy guy. I know that creepy guy. Let's go here. Here's the story about a 2-minute video that was really audio. Mike Patty, Becky Patty, and Anna were able to listen to 2 minutes of audio from Libby's phone. And the audio, what was heard was Abby asking Libby if the creepy guy was still following them. They could hear Libby saying, mm-hmm. The girls were talking about where they should go. And then the next thing they heard was him saying, down the hill. Then they heard was a gun being cocked. So this was something that got released to the public that shouldn't have. So Becky felt the need to respond to this. This is what she said publicly on her Facebook. She said, okay, we did see a small clip. Now we know it's 43 seconds. That's a small clip of the video, as law enforcement had a couple of questions on this part. And that time, Mike and I were asked not to discuss it. So the part that they were asked not to discuss was the gun. Why? Because the killer, as soon as he finds out that they have a bullet, that they know that a gun was used in the crime, he's going to get rid of it. So this idiot over here who's releasing this information, well, now Becky has to take countermeasures to try to to protect that information. She says, at that time, Mike and I were asked not to discuss it, and I will continue to respect that request. I do not know where this information above came from and will not confirm anything concerning this. So she doesn't want to hurt the investigation. And thankfully, they were able to keep that quiet as long as possible. Hey, Molly, welcome in. Caricature, good to see you. I just can't tell us why, because he knows we'd all know he's a psycho. Yeah, and that's the part he's going to play cat and mouse with. It's going to allow him to stay in control. We do know whatever his reason on the stand will be, a lie to save face. Yeah, I don't think he's going to take the stand. Thank you, CJK. It's all good, Molly. We're going to go over a few earlier documents that were released after Richard Allen was arrested, and then we're going to get out of here. The lost tip bullshit. Something's up with that, for sure. Scrub report. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up. Go share this on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Send the link to your grandma. Say, hey, Grandma, Sleuth is on. Have you heard about the Sleuth Intuition channel? How does a fully trained officer never mention over the water cooler? He talked to a guy, said he was there at the time. Yeah, especially when the photograph came out. There's something we're not privy to. Hey, Lauren. Sees through, says, wife Lola the channel gone. I don't know if it's gone or she has it hidden. I think she does that from time to time. Thank you, Mustang. Yeah, I hope there's no mistrial. That would be horrible. Yeah, they were most likely in shock, and then their worst fears were realized. Yeah, I agree, Anna. I think there's going to be some bombshells. So if the opening statements by the prosecution don't force Richard Allen to take a plea bargain or change his or plead guilty, I don't think he ever will. So I'm saying if he doesn't do it by the 23rd, he won't do it at all. What's up, right field? What's up, Frank Meister? BN Mama, what's up? Good to see you. Cheeks, hey. How you doing? Only 73 likes. Shameful. Hey, Grandma. Hit the link. Karen G, how you doing? Appreciate that. Forgot the name of the case. However, I read Casey Anthony case line by line to familiarize myself. Just how easily it can happen. Oh man, that broke my heart. I just could not believe that they let her off. I was shocked. So you guys have to be prepared for that. Remember, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the key word, reasonable. Not any kind of a doubt, a reasonable doubt. Thanks, Karen. Sort of grudge against the state, and they're going to use Drew technicality they can while this is in the public spotlight. Yeah, I cannot believe. Yeah, there still is no justice for Kaylee. I mean, they basically proved that she killed her and her dad helped cover up the crime. And then they just dumped her in a lot, like some vacant lot, not far from the home. I just could not believe it. I don't know how something like that happens. You lurkers, we see you. We can smell you. We can hear like the slithering in the grass, little snakes in the grass. I do, Rightfield. I think he will plead. I'm going to say no later than the 23rd. I think he wants to get a feel for the trial and a feel for the jury. and to hear how the prosecution is going to proceed. Yeah, that's the part that I worry about. CJK says, and some of the jurors said that they thought she did do it, but it wasn't proven. So the type of jury that is selected is going to be a huge part of what happens in this outcome. And Richard Allen wants to see that for himself. He's not going to assume anything. He wants to see the jury. He wants to see how they're reacting to the prosecution's statements and their case. Then we're going to have a weekend, and that Monday or that Tuesday, we'll know if he's going to change plea his if he's going to plead guilty. Thank you, Zoe. Thanks again, Zoe. Cheeks. Make sure you guys thank Zoe and Cheeks if you got hooked up with the membership. Congrats. Yeah, clear to you, Rain Dancer, but what about, other people? I mean, look at what's going on in the Delphi case. Look what's going on in the Brian Koberger case. You have a whole lot of people who think that Richard Allen is innocent, and they haven't even heard any of the case. So you really never know. It really depends. Yeah, I thought maybe she drowned and they panicked. Metal says, I believe the prosecution has more damning evidence. There's a lot we do not know yet. Nope. I think we're going to learn about that by the 18th. And I'll do my best to cover that. We'll find out everybody that's going to be there as far as the media. We'll most likely have contact with some of the civilians that will be there who are able to get in. And we'll do our best to stay in contact with them and give you guys a play-by-play. Yeah, he doesn't really have a defense. So he's going to have to do his best to attack the timeline, attack the evidence that will be presented against him. But I mean, from what I see, the dude doesn't have an alibi. That's going to be rough. Yeah, don't worry about that, Cheeks. Water under the bridge. Don't let it get you down. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to cover that case too. I'm gathering information on that case slowly. But yeah, we're going to do a deep dive into that. Thank you, Miss Dog Lover. That case is quite the rabbit hole. Sleuth, watch the video when the husband of Micah Miller is lying on the ground. All right, I will. Yeah, I don't get it either, Cheeks. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it. Quick shout out to Zoe, Cheeks, Miss Dog Lover, and all of you who continue to donate to my Cash App. I really appreciate you guys. We will be doing a giveaway at some point this month, but because of the Delphi case, it's a little bit chaotic, and we're trying to do the best coverage that we can to keep you guys informed. So if you guys need to get a hold of me, my email address is sleuthintuition@gmail.com. If you're part of that replay crew, you know what to do. Drop a comment and we'll get back to you. You're welcome, Lauren. Right Field, Beth, Anna, Metal, all you guys. A big shout out to my mods and an extra special thanks to all of you members out there. So make sure you guys be safe the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you again tomorrow. So I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.